There she is.
Huh?
This is my crazy cat.
I was about ready to hit it, and then I saw you, and I'm like, oh wait, I better hold
I
on.
know, it's the type of cat. She has like the hugest paws ever too.
I was
Like
not
she's just
expecting that.
like most people don't go, oh, I got the cutest cat. They're like, what?
I saw that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, they're
That's all from last time.
the breed.
Two.
Good.
They're really big cats.
Second
They can get really big.
I'd like to call this regular town board meeting to order for Tuesday, June 4th, 2024 at 6:32. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg.
Here.
Trustee Hartz.
Here.
Trustee Katzos. Trustee Snooks.
Here.
Trustee Moreland.
Here.
Trustee McLaurin.
Here.
And Mayor Ah.
Here. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Does the board have any conflicts of interest? Seeing none. General public input. Is there anyone from the public who has anything they wish to say?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm
Wait, oh, go ahead. You were getting there.
Marion Tone. We live at 1495 County Road, 526 Bayfield, Colorado. Is this working? Okay, now it might be really loud, so. Marion Tone, 1495 County Road 526, just immediately east of the Bayfield eastern boundary. All right, so I wanted to talk really briefly, because I know I have a short amount of time, about the fact that unfortunately there has been a lot of missed opportunities between the prior town trustee boards and your county neighbors. And I'm really hoping that this board of trustees will take a different approach and a more neighborly approach with your county neighbors. There's absolutely no reason for there to be any adversity between the town and your next door neighbors out in the county. But that has happened over time in large part because we have felt ignored and trampled upon. And I'm really hoping this board will think through how to change that approach. In particular, there's the drainage master plan that I know you had a workshop on last week and I couldn't attend. The drainage master plan talks a little bit about how the irrigation ditches currently serve as a conduit for some stormwater flows. And at the very end of the report, there's a little tagline that says, one idea for the future might be that the town pipe its stormwater in such a way that it doesn't go into the irrigation ditches, but traverses over them and is properly directed into stormwater drainage. Everybody I know in the agriculture world would request that that be prioritized. I don't know anybody who's ever been on an irrigation ditch here in La Plata County that said, oh yes, we want to intercept the stormwater. We've been forced to accept it as a practical matter over time, but there's never been a desire to take it. A lot of you have been here long enough to know that Dove Ranch went through, and the improvement that was supposed to protect the Schroeder Ditch from stormwater has never, even to this day, been completed. And we continue to fight for attention to this issue so that it doesn't happen again. The most current issue that we're concerned about, a repeat of this happening again, is Mustang Crossing, which is, you all know where that's happening. That is immediately south of the Tone property and immediately north of the Ludwig property. The Campbell Lateral, which is an offshoot from the Schroeder Ditch, runs north-south from the Tone property, across Mustang Crossing, and then down to the Ludwig property. If that ditch is not properly attended to by the developer, it's going to be Dove Ranch deja vu. None of you were at fault for what happened in Dove Ranch, but if this is your opportunity to not have another disaster with pollution and hazards happening from that stormwater. So when you're looking at the drainage master plan, Mayor and trustees, I'm asking you to ask hard questions about how we're going to address that so that the ditches are not presumed to be the default, because quite frankly, that's not supposed to be going into the irrigation ditches, and that stormwater needs to go back to the river, not to our ranches. So that's the first point. The second point is that with the division of Mustang Crossing into phases, with Phase 1A currently under development, we are having really significant problems with that development. And I'm asking your board to ask hard questions of your staff to find the real answers to what's going on. We've had a blockage of an irrigation easement that had to be addressed. It's going to have to continue to be addressed because 2 homeowners have built fences across our irrigation easement. And the improvements that we thought were assured and that were going to be happening to protect the Campbell Lateral apparently are not happening with Phase 1A. We believed that there was going to be a fence along the eastern boundary of Phase 1A that would keep people from turning the reserved areas of Mustang Crossing into a public park. It's like, you know, Yosemite out there in the evenings. People are out there with their dogs and their dirt bikes, and it's turned into a big party area. That's primarily Jeff Jorgensen's problem because he's got the liability, but it's the ditch problem because if people are polluting it and or falling into it, and at places it's 30 feet deep, then it becomes a real issue for the community. So we're asking you to ask those hard questions and make sure that that ditch is properly protected as it was supposed to be and that that fence is built. So there's other issues. Vector control is not being addressed. Grasshopper control is not being addressed. When I stood here and asked the town board, and some of you were on that board at the time, to address these issues at the annexation phase, I was told, don't worry, this is just the annexation. Those issues will be addressed later, but I'm telling you they haven't been. And we're creating more problems between your county neighbors and the town, and I'm really hoping that'll change. Thank you for your time.
I have a question for you before.
Yes, ma'am.
You said 2 properties had fences built across the ditch?
Yes.
Are those in development phase or are those already owned by some
Those
individuals?
yeah, they are on, they front on, I forget the name of the town, of that street. They don't front onto Clover, they front onto Mustang. Well, they back onto Mustang. Magnolia.
But
It's
those
610
particular
and-
properties are not currently in development. They've already been sold and everything?
Yes, so one of
So
them, we,
I wanted kind of clarify something for you because the town at that point is not responsible for the fencing on there, and that's actually something you have to deal with the homeowners, unfortunately.
may I respond?
Of course.
Great, thanks. So 610 Mustang, or Magnolia, I agree anyway. I can't speak for the ditch company people. I'm just a person. I'm not the ditch company. But 610 Magnolia, which is the Hookers, Melissa and Mike Hooker, looks to be that's the case. They built their private fence, and that's a private issue. But 609 Magnolia has built out over the easement, and that's the fence. I don't know if I can draw a picture, but that's the fence that was built. So if I can't talk into the mic and pantomime this for you.
That's okay.
So if it's the
you're just saying 609 possibly is still in development? Is that?
No, 609, the fence was put in between 609 and Mustang Crossing. The fence was put in as a condition of approval along the north-south western boundary of Mustang Crossing. That fence was put in as a condition of approval of Mustang Crossing. It's my recollection, I mean, we don't have the historic photographs, but it's my recollection that, so if it's basically, you know, this is the privacy fence that was put in, here's 610 Mustang Drive. This is the easement. I love my little drawing on my hands. Hopefully you can all see that. So that easement runs here. It's my personal recollection, and we're all trying to research it, that the fence north-south on the western side of Mustang Crossing was a condition of approval.
So if
And
we-
when that
if-
fence went in, it blocked the
Yeah.
easement.
If we could look into that piece of it, just to verify. Okay.
Yeah, we've looked,
It's not-
we've had a response that
Okay.
it was not part of the condition of approval. I don't have those records to
Okay.
confirm the information I've been given, so I am asking for further review of that. I know that the fence along Mustang Drive is probably the problem of the homeowner, but that and you can see it's like a little indent
Oh, no,
on
I
the property
believe, I believe
line.
you 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I've had people change easements and affect my property as well. So I totally get what you're saying. I just have to verify whether or not that's a
Right.
if it's the issue of the homeowner or the issue of the town.
I think it's probably both. I think it's probably part of the condition that they put in that privacy fence.
I don't know that answer, so we have
No,
to.
I know.
we
So
have
if you're going to look
at
into it,
yeah.
that'd be great. We'd really
Yeah.
appreciate it. And then if we could also be looking into for this project, and then of course other projects, this whole
To be
problem of
cognizant.
the silt fence. There's no silt fence. There's supposed to be vector control in the silt fence. So we're just asking for further, evaluation of that.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for answering my questions.
Is there any other general public input? Seeing none, I'll close that out. Is there any general public input on the agenda items?
Are you asking for the agenda itself, or are you asking for each item?
Well, I guess I was gonna do each item as we go through, wasn't I? Sorry, I was just going down the list.
Aren't we on general public input?
Yeah, we didn't have any
So then you need an approval on the agenda?
further.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Hartz,
Yes.
Trustee Snooks,
Yes.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yay. Next up is La Plata County Youth Services.
Yeah, so I will introduce this. I just want to let you know that in November, October of last year, La Plata Youth Services suspended youth services during our municipal court because they disagreed with the fact that they did not want the judge to make referrals. They wanted the reporting officer to do the referrals. And of course, we have a really young staff, and our chief and our judge felt that that they had some authority to request that the referrals all be done in municipal court. We don't have a whole lot of youth offenders, and we did get stats of what we've had for the last couple of years. And then this next MOU came to us, looks like May 28th is when I have it dated. But they basically provided an MOU, and the very last statement that they have in here is that it's on page 8 of your packet. It says the BMC, which I'm assuming they mean the Bayfield Police Department, will agree to discuss and plan out a direct referral pathway for school resource officers upon the end of their fiscal year, December 2024. Dustin Streetzel, who is our SRO, his 4-year anniversary was actually yesterday. So he's actually almost the longest officer other than our investigator. We don't have any officers that have served in long periods like they may have in the city of Durango. So we have concerns that even though we had this discussion with them, they were open to hearing our concerns, and we talked about that this is our juvenile courts are not like Denver or Colorado Springs. They're very different. In fact, I've sat in court and certainly encourage any one of you to come to court. It's the third Thursday of the month. You don't feel that what their concerns are anything that Bayfield is doing to juveniles. So our judge, Davlin, is here. He was certainly has his professional opinion about why juveniles should come to municipal court, and also our chief is here as well. So I'll just ask the judge maybe to step up to the podium.
Good evening, trustees. Yeah, Katie summarized it pretty well. There's a little bit more background on it that I guess I'd inform you of what actually happened. Since I was appointed to be the judge, youth services had always been involved with the youth. I came on in January 1 of 2022. And so youth services had always been there. I don't think there's been one juvenile that has come through our court that hasn't been at least offered youth services when it was available. Before Chief O'Gay was hired as a permanent, as replacement chief, youth services came to Brandon Tisher and myself and asked if we could implement a direct referral system to avoid court and just straight to youth services. I told them point blank, it's like, I'm not going to change anything at this point. Brandon and I discussed it, and we said, well, we'll certainly allow whoever's hired to as a full-time replacement chief to make that determination. And so that went on for and it kept coming back. We went direct referrals, and we just said we weren't going to do it. And then Chief O'Gay was hired. Again, there was approached, can we do the direct referrals? And Chief O'Gay and I discussed. And, I just said, I really, personally, I think we should go through the courts on this. But if you strongly have an opinion otherwise, I'm certainly going to support, your professional discretion. It's your officers that would be doing it. And at that point, it was a full-on referral for all juveniles, if I remember correctly, that there would be no kids coming to Bayfield Municipal Court. And Chief and I discussed, and he was like, no. I'm not speaking for you out of turn, but that's what we both discussed, and we both see value in, maybe mom and dad have it, either mom or dad or both. Sometimes we see it taking time off, bringing the kid to court, and going through that process. And it's not it's not a, I think as Ms. Sickles alluded to, it wasn't a it's more of a community court. It's not a very confrontational court that the kids might otherwise think they're coming to. They meet with the prosecutor. Their parents are with the prosecutor when they meet, and we've always offered them there's never been a plea that was never offered, and we just, they come up, they accept the deferral. If they want to go that deferral, they approach the bench, and then they go pay their fine, and they're out, So it's not like it's not like Denver cattle call or whatever you want to call it. It's not nothing like probably even Durango Municipal Court. I haven't been in that court in a while. But nonetheless, we said that wasn't an option that we were willing to consider at this point. And then they came back, and they had a meeting. They requested a meeting with the town, and I just said, fine. What's the purpose of the meeting? If you would mind giving us in writing, like what the planned meeting is. We don't know, and we'll certainly meet with you. But I did say if it's going to be direct referral. I'd also spoken with Ms. Sickles at that point, and I was off the table from her standpoint as well. So we didn't want to do the direct referrals. So then we got an email indicating that they, kind of at the last minute, middle of November, before our docket, that even though they knew that we had youth on the court docket, that they were going to suspend our services because we weren't cooperating with their process. So that's where everything went. We had a meeting in February. We all met. They agreed that we could resume services. They weren't going to require the direct referral. Everything was good. Then we got an email earlier or late May, was it, mid-May, whenever it was, saying that now they want to do direct, they'll agree to accept us to resume the services, but we have to agree to do the, discuss and set out a plan for direct referrals in December. And, it's not in the MOU, but it's in all the background emails. It's impossible for us to, or, for Chief Hogay's officers to even comply with what their demand is. It's only for first-time offenders that would get the direct referral for drug-related offenses. The officers at the time of citation and or arrest, of the juvenile have no way to know if it's a first-time offender or not. So we've kind of set up, they've asked us to set up almost an impossible, something that really can't be, possibly imposed. So Ms. Sickles asked if I'd come down and, give us a little, a thought with the new trustees as well. I know there's some questions to me from the board members that know me during the election about what was going on with the court, so I thought it'd be a good time to come down and explain what's going on with this, and then, answer any other questions you guys have. So.
Are there any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Yep.
What exactly happens with a juvenile or an offender and they're put into this program, diversion? What does that consist of?
So if they, I've never I don't, to be honest, Mrs. McLaren, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't, what it's been explained to me and the way that I understand the process, but I don't go to youth services. So I don't, that's why I don't know.
Judge, can
yes.
I help you out there?
Yes, please.
Perhaps? Yeah. So as your prosecutor, I show up on these Thursdays, either myself or Josh Mackin. Please understand that youth services has been a program that the town pays for, and it is a diversionary program. So kids are generally given a citation, they come to municipal court, they appear before Judge Davlin, but prior to appearing before Judge Davlin, they can come in with their attorney, or they can just meet with the prosecutor initially and discuss the charges that have been brought, because they are innocent until proven guilty, and discuss whether or not they'd like to perhaps work out some sort of disposition in municipal court, or perhaps be given the option of going through this diversionary program offered by La Plata Youth Services. And La Plata Youth Services, if a kid is found eligible to be in the program, would go through a 6-month program, a 9-month program that generally requires that juvenile and or his or her parents to meet with a representative from youth services and usually talk about how their crime affected their family, themselves, perhaps another victim, and they go through programs and introspective sort of counseling sort of sessions.
So it's
things like
mostly counseling. It's not
it's-
like
it's-
work,
it's-
it's not like community service or anything
Well,
like that.
there can be monitoring of community service. It can be monitoring of writing letters of apology, directing people to actually have some sort of buy-in with a victim if there is a victim. So that's a diversionary program that would be offered, perhaps if they're found eligible. But typically, the scenario is the person comes to court and they are first told about their charges and advised by the judge, who does a very good job of making sure they understand they are innocent until proven guilty, and that they are not under any obligation to accept a plea from the prosecutor or go through this diversion. In fact, they have an opportunity to go to trial if they wanted to. So that's essentially what's going on here. And so I think that we were taken by surprise when youth services came in and said, listen, we want to kind of skip this whole court process where the kid and his parents come. We'd rather the officers just, when they give the citation, just direct them right to youth services in Durango. So I think that's where we are. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Judge?
That is correct. And Ms. McLaren, I want to just clarify. I mistook your comment as to not how Michael explained as the diversionary process, but what actually happens in youth services. To be honest, I don't know what happens other than how Mr. Goldman has presented it as being, it's counseling based. There's some sort of discussion, but that's about all of our involvement. And then if they successfully complete it, just let, you know, I mean, it's going to be an expungement from the record. You know, they're not being set. We're not saddling the youth with, you know, with
Criminal record when they're,
yes.
So when you say eligible, explain that to me. They're eligible for the program. They've been charged with a crime.
Well,
Wouldn't-
as the judge explained earlier, you know, a second-time
first time.
offender, if we find out through the police department, when they go through a juvenile record, that there are numerous offenses, generally, they're not going to be eligible for diversion. They're going to be
So then
eligible
they
for
go, okay.
perhaps a stricter.
Awesome, thank you.
And would an officer know that? Would an officer have that information at hand?
Generally, they haven't had an opportunity to go through the NCIC, which is the database for records at the time of getting a citation. So it is a tough call to ask an officer to make the determination as to whether or not this kid is eligible for a program or whether he should go to court with his parents first.
Well, and second of all, we all know, in buttressing Mr. Goldman's point, I mean, we all know this is a small community. But the last thing we don't want to do is give, you know, kid A, you know, the opportunity, and kid B, we think he's a second offender, you know, who knows? I mean, it's just right. I think it's just a better process. I think we all agree between the prosecutor, the chief, you know, the manager, and perhaps the board, perhaps not. But from my standpoint, that you come to court, if the prosecution determines that they're eligible for the program, that's where that determination is made, and then at that point, you know, as a court, we can determine if we want to accept it or not. So,
May I say something?
please.
Within this criminal justice system, law enforcement is the arresting agency. I do not believe that the arresting agency should also be the adjudication agency. The adjudication should be done through the court system, and that's what the judge is for. We should not be doing two legs or two tiers of the criminal justice system. We are just one, and that's where we should be with this.
And that was going to be my question. Do you have any legal authority, and what's our liability if we do start doing that?
That is correct. I do not have that legal authority to just release someone from the scene and quickly apply them into the diversion program. I don't have that authority. That's what they're trying to require us to do. Now, some other agencies may be doing that, but when we discussed this, I was firmly in belief that we are just one leg, not two, of the structure of law enforcement, our criminal justice. We should just be the arresting or investigating agency, not the adjudication part.
So, not to really get into the weeds on this,
Yeah.
but the chief raises some very interesting constitutional issues with regards to due process, the Fifth Amendment and the Sixth Amendment under our Constitution and so forth. So these are things that I think everyone's appropriately just hesitating on to make sure we do the right thing on behalf of the youth in Bayfield.
I think they should have to go to court with their parents. I mean, it's part of the process of making stupid mistakes when you're young. And then it's just too easy, I think, to just kind of pass them on directly to a diversion program. I think they need to get a little court time and talk with the prosecutor, talk with the judge, and helps them to realize what they're doing here.
So
Well,
I
what
did-
What if the officer is wrong, and then the town gets sued, and so does the officer, and it just can create all kinds of,
Well,
thank
and we-
you.
Right, and we just violated someone's rights.
exactly,
Yes.
Right.
exactly. I'm not okay with that.
Me neither. Do we need action tonight?
No.
So there's
Says
no
no
action
action.
tonight. What I wanted to do is kind of get your input on this and some direction, and then return to Chris, who provided this to us, and said we will, at this point, we're not in favor of that statement. If you'll take that statement out, we'll certainly consider it. Their deadline was the 15th of June. We're not going to meet that because your next meeting is the 17th. So what we'd probably do is ask them for an extension and until after your next meeting. But if there's any in favor of this current MOU, I'd certainly like to know it. If if I'm hearing 6 are,
So say we ask them to take that portion of it out and then we would reconsider it. What happens if they say no to that and they want that? Then we're,
they already discontinued us anyway.
oh, so we don't get to use their service now.
They don't
anyway.
even get their service now. And I did reach out to some smaller communities that are not in the La Plata Youth Services, and I asked them about this, and I had one chief kind of laugh, and he said, well, how does that even work? So I couldn't find any small community less than 5,000 that they have a direct referral because of just the size of officers. You know, if we had 2 or 3 7-year veterans with the town of Bayfield, that may be different, but not at this point.
And just one last thing too. I mean, year to date in 2024, we've had 6 juveniles. We had 8 in 2023, and we had 15 in 2022. So it's, you know, I mean, we're not huge numbers, but you know, I mean, just so the board's aware of what we're actually looking at on a number wise of, you know, juveniles that we see on a year.
It's a shame because I feel like we're caught between two things, because we're caught between trying to help a youth get out of the role, you know, the
Wrong spot.
the wrong spot that they're in, but yet our hands are tied because we would be not giving them their rights by doing that. I just,
Well,
shame on them. I'm sorry.
No, I think you're right. I think Ms. Moreland, I think we're all on the same page. I think
Yeah.
by doing it the way that we're doing it, we're getting them the services. If youth services will take us back on, you know, the benefit that they're going to need. I think we're doing it in a way that's going to protect the Bayfield, the town, and our court. So that's why
And
I
the
think-
kids.
The
And the
kids, exactly.
kids, yeah.
And that's what
And the
we're looking
kids.
out for, is protecting everybody's constitutional rights. Is there any,
Do you need more of us to chime in?
I don't hear anybody oppose or in favor of this MOU, so, okay.
No.
Well, I mean, if we could do it, I don't know, if we can do it would be nice if we get back to youth services before the 17th. What,
I can email them tomorrow and get the ball rolling again and try to get an MOU that's done properly with the wording that we are wanting omitted. The
Yep.
rest of the wording was justifiable, it was workable, everything was fine, it was just that one line. If we can get that one line removed, I'm sure I can get that hopefully back with Chris and Jason and get that resolved by Friday or the next week before we have to put it on the next agenda.
Fingers crossed. Good luck.
Yep.
moving on?
All right.
I think there's one more.
So the next item, I think just want to be sure that the board is kind of aware of how traffic court goes, since this IGA was signed with La Plata County. So I'll let the chief and Judge Davlin provide that information. And that is in your packet.
When I started doing studies about the town's jurisdiction of what we are allowed to do traffic enforcement, our city limits, if you look at the map, is very puzzle-like. But where the majority of traffic flows through town, we do not have but minimal rights to enforce traffic laws. Currently on 160, you go from about 200 yards east of Chavalos to Subway. On 160, that's all I'm allowed to legally enforce, is just that little area. When we get on 501, I get that's a circle around the roundabout. I go 100 yards, it stops. Then I get 100 yards in front of the school. Then I get 100 yards in front of the pharmacy. The rest of 501, I'm not allowed to enforce at all. And then we get on 8 Corners, that whole intersection there, I'm not allowed to enforce. That's all in a county venue. So running all those stop signs, we were not technically or legally allowed to enforce those. And then when you get to Buck Highway and Mars Drive, one of those 3 stop signs I was only allowed to enforce. And it's not the one everybody runs. So when I started doing the study about what we're allowed to do and what we're allowed to enforce and where we're having traffic safety issues, I met with the sheriff to see if we can expand our traffic enforcement authority to help reduce accidents and help increase safety. So now with the traffic enforcement grant the IGA we have with them, I have 160 from Bayfield Parkway on the west end of town, all the way to the entrance to San Juan Forest. We get to patrol that to reduce speed, to reduce reckless driving, to hopefully reduce accidents in that whole area, because this is where we get a lot of major collisions, is just outside of town in these little areas where people are flying. And so by having officers just move out just a little bit and then give us the authority to enforce that, we have already seen reductions in numbers, just being visible in those areas. And now, the school zone on 501, we go all the way out to mile marker 2. We get to enforce traffic all the way out there. Now, we're not too far out of town. We're just maybe a half mile past Dove Ranch, but we're allowed to enforce speeding and all the other things that are causing the problems within our community. So within that, before I even started getting the IGA completely worded, I met with Judge Davlin about the traffic citations. Because if we write a traffic citation in the IGA zone, that has to go through county, because we technically can't adjudicate those tickets in muni court because it did not happen within the municipal boundaries. It happened within the boundaries of our IGA with the county. So as we talked about this, instead of having officers being confused about where the actual probable cause was to just put all of our traffic citations through the county. And it was for several different reasons. One was a jurisdictional confusion. Where was the violation actually? Was it within the jurisdiction of the town, or was it just the IGA? So we just decided to take that confusion out. The second one was the optics of doing these vehicle stops in this zone. If we're writing tickets, I did not want the optics of there was several federal lawsuits years ago about money grabs, that departments were out there just writing tickets to get money for the community. I did not want that at all. So I didn't want that optic to be there. The other things, it was about the muni court. When we write a traffic ticket that's under municipal court, and that offender fails to appear in municipal court, Judge Davlin issues a bench warrant from the municipal court. That municipal court bench warrant has no teeth anywhere except in the town of Bayfield, within our own limits. If we send the tickets to county court and those offenders fail to appear, that warrant has teeth. Wherever they're at in the state, they're going to get picked up on an active warrant and shipped back here to face the judge and face everything like that. The other thing is when I was requested to give a little information on this, was the studies of fines and fees. Last year, the town brought in $2,300 in fines and fees. I don't know, we couldn't break it down between traffic and all the other stuff. And this year, we've only brought in $300. On average, the court costs for prosecution and all that other stuff, I range between $400 and $1,000 a month to run municipal court. And this year, we've only had to run 2, I think. Is that correct, Judge?
Yes.
So by taking all the traffic stuff and move it to the county, we don't have to have municipal court as much, which does save the town money. And we don't get a lot of the money from the tickets anyway. And so if we let the county handle everything, the judicial system there, it has more authority and it has more teeth when it comes to charges than what the municipal court does. And so that's the reason why when we discussed this, we agreed that all traffic citations should be going through the county.
That's correct. When Chief presented it to me, I was all for it. I mean, I knew even if we did cite everything to the La Plata County District, or excuse me, the La Plata County Court, we would have lost. It just made it jurisdictionally. It was just a lot cleaner for everything to occur. I was all for it, just so we had more of a presence. I mean, if it's not a moneymaker and we're increasing the safety, why wouldn't we do it? You know what I mean? So that was kind of my rationale on it. One thing I do want to clarify, though, just Chief, I think just accidentally misspoke a little bit. Before I was appointed judge, there was a big change in with judicial reforms that all occurred post-COVID, during COVID, and when everything was going on. The legislature of Colorado made, and I'm speaking very generalities here, but they made a change to the law in regards to the issuance of bench warrants, or issuance of warrants in general, I guess, in Colorado. And one of the big changes was that when a bench warrant's issued, a bond hearing has to be heard within 48 hours of of the arrest. So now, and Mr. Goldman might be able to explain a little bit more than this on me. I don't really do any criminal law. But what that means is even here, even if we post a bond, or they don't post a bond, they're going to have a bond hearing within 48 hours. I believe they're even holding bond hearings on weekends now throughout the state. We would be subject to those same requirements as I understand it. So we were never, the town, we're not set up to issue a bench warrant, right? So, or to have that 48-hour requirement between myself, Amber Abdella, and Mr. Goldman, or Josh Mack would have to participate. It would there's no way we were going to be able to do that within 48 hours. So I've never issued a bench warrant as a municipal court judge. What we do issue if someone doesn't show up is what's a cite and release warrant, which is what Chief was alluding to, which just means, hey, you get pulled over, you got a cite and release warrant, you get pulled over by the Bayfield marshals or the police department. They realize there's that warrant out. They're going to cite you and say, okay, court's, it'd be at the July docket. You know what I mean? We don't have any teeth to enforce, but the county court does have those teeth. And a lot of the traffic citations, a lot of the times we would see people that weren't here, wouldn't show up for court, were on the traffic offenses and not so much the other offenses where it's kind of more of a, more of a non-traffic related crime. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Is there any questions from the board? Thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome.
Come by anytime.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, trustees, I think I'm done. Thank you.
Next up is verify CML district meeting attendance in Cortez. As soon as I catch up.
So that's just a verification of your attendance. So the Board of Trustees, we had Mayor Tom Ah, Trustee Alexis Hartz, Trustee Kat Katzos, and Trustee Laura McLaurin. At Cortez, it was a CML district meeting, and it was on Monday, May 20th, 2024. It's just a verification, just to, if there's any conflicts that you see in that, just need to know.
You need a motion or anything?
I don't need a motion.
And the same for the verify of the attendance of the May 30th, 2024 work session?
Yeah, so you missed a doozy if you missed this one. So still a lot of reading information. The attendance was Mayor Tom Ah, Trustee Alexis Hartz, Trustee Kat Katzos, Trustee Laura McLaurin joined approximately 6 p.m. We had already done the trash garbage pickup by the time that she appeared. I certainly encourage all of those that missed that to go to that link, and there's a passcode, and the public also has that option to go and see what we're talking about. So the three things that we talked about is garbage pickup by a local garbage reliable services, and they certainly have their own challenges about getting bear proof. The next thing was the water and sewer rates. Water looking at a 10% increase, sewer looking at a 5% increase, and then the stormwater basically looking at residential about $29 a month, possibly a $10 fee to start to collect money so that we have a better opportunity to get grants to actually pay for that infrastructure. So there's no decision here tonight. Just want to make sure that that there's no opposition or conflict of the attendance roster that we have.
I just have a quick question. If you're a town resident, can you opt out of garbage pickup?
Not the way our ordinance is written, no.
Okay. I know you can some places. I just didn't know if we could here.
Any opposition to the attendance?
No.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, approval of the minutes for May 21st, 2024.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes dated May 21st, 2024.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I found a mistake in the minutes, at the beginning. It says who opened the meeting was.
Mayor Tarkington. And it's-
I've corrected
right.
that in the hard copy. Somehow, when I slid it into the packet, I slid my draft copy. So that has been corrected on the minutes that will be signed tomorrow morning.
I'll amend my request for approval to, with that change.
I had a
Right.
question too.
Well,
I don't know, how I don't know what order it comes in.
So we
I'll
can
make an
amend,
amendment to my request for approval, Mr.
an
Mayor.
amendment to the second. How many of you
Second.
seconded?
Second.
Okay. Now, any discussion?
Yes. Just agenda item number 5, CML candidate, it's very small. Feels the construction defects need to be fixed and broadband for Southwest Colorado. Could you just clarify what that was? I remember you talking about.
Construction defects is a issue with any townhomes or condos that are built in the state of Colorado, that a builder has to get insurance to cover any defects. And currently, right now, legislation allows an attorney to sue for construction defects. So let's just say you have a 50 condo complex, and maybe the faucet is leaking, and the attorney knocks or contacts every 50 homeowners and finds out they all may have a leaky faucet. So currently, right now, legislation doesn't require that the contractor has the right to go back and fix a leaky faucet. Instead, the attorneys can sue for all 50 units that there's a leaky faucet. So what's happening right now is and Mike Fouts actually talked about this at the Housing Summit, that they only build rental units because they can't cover the insurance to build condo units. So even though there's a lot of communities that have a great concern about construction defects, yes, you want to protect the homeowner, but shouldn't the contractor have the right to go back and fix it versus being just sued over it? So our insurance it can be astronomical, and Mike Fouts would be a great person to talk to, and also Pat Vaughn, who is the chairperson of RHA, has also experienced that same thing about what it costs.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions on the minutes?
No.
Roll call, please.
Did you want the public input? I'm sorry, you did ask to.
I know.
Remind him.
It's fine. Is there any public input on the minutes from May 21st? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee Snooks,
Yes.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yay. The town manager's report.
So my manager report is pretty short. Certainly got to see a lot of you over the meetings that we've had in May. We did. I did make an offer to an HR director. Unfortunately, the offer was made, and she let her employer know, and they offered her more money. So she's staying. So we've had 2 great candidates, and that happened both times. So both of them were really good candidates. So really disappointed. We'll start that process all over again. We will continue to seek a facilities and grounds maintenance worker. I did decide to hire a grounds maintenance person just to get us through the summer, because this has now been, over almost 9 months now that we've been looking for that, to fill that position. Meeting development, leadership development, I think that's been really positive. A lot of laughing back here before the meeting got started. And I think that we're starting, to really gel and really understand how to work together, laugh together, and sometimes be very, sincere and clear where we need to go as far as our leadership goes. So great. I'm always looking for newsletter items. Anytime, the mayor has interest in writing an article to the citizens, we certainly look forward to letters from any of the trustees. So, if you're interested, the deadline is always the 20th. In June, it's going to be a little bit earlier because we're all leaving for CML on the 18th, so it'll probably be the 15th of June. So if you're ever interested, or if you're just writing something down, it can go into any edition, just let me know. So that's what I got. And the pamphlet I gave you yesterday, I'm hoping that helped give you some talking points at the ice cream.
Well, we didn't exactly have a huge
turnout.
crowd there, let's put it that way.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I thought the pamphlet was great. Thank
Good.
you.
I
Really
do-
appreciate that.
Kat did go door to door with them.
We had a lot of people show up for ice cream, most of them under the 3-foot height limit.
They're still citizens.
I know, I know.
Made the kiddos happy.
I have a question about the newsletter. So how is the space determined for the nonprofits? Do they pay for that space?
No.
or It's just put in.
First of all, sometimes I don't even have things to put in the newsletter. So,
So they're not, are they coming to you and asking for that space?
no, I'm getting in that through a Facebook post, or we'll help them or share their events and things like that. So those nonprofits, I'm just trying to give them a little space. And I'm talking about nonprofits. I would never do
Right.
it for a commercial business. And basically to encourage activities in Bayfield.
Because I just noticed the different sizes and wondering about that. And the other thing is, I have confusion. Does the town put on the block parties, or does the chamber?
The
put on-
chamber
the
puts on the
chamber.
block parties.
Okay, because I saw it, in Justin's report collecting booth money for the block.
No, there's no registration fees for the block party.
Okay, so that's all the chamber.
Well, the chamber, but there's still a business that's operating in town, and that's why we
Right.
collect, make sure they have a business license.
And so they pay the fees too that are required.
To the town.
Yes.
But they don't pay, they pay the chamber, the booth.
The chamber pays the town the
Right.
fees that are required to put on the event,
Mm-hmm.
which were set into place last year.
Okay. And then they rent out the booths.
Not right now. If the chamber decided to, some
We
of the
don't
chambers I
charge.
worked with in the past, they have a booth cost to help them, recoup some of the money, but that's really up to the chamber.
The chamber uses sponsorships to recoup the funds that they have, as well as beer garden. Some of the beer garden funds go towards that, and the remainder goes towards the nonprofits that run the beer garden.
So, so if I want to set up a tent, a 10 by 10
You have
tent.
to register with the town just like you would anywhere else,
Okay,
but there's no fee,
okay,
because they have to be aware of who's there.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm on the chamber board, in case you were wondering why I was answering.
I figured you must be.
Town clerk?
All right. Well, we can skip ahead and talk about the block party. So we have been getting a lot of applications and a lot of nonprofits. So that's good to see. We've had, usually it's been a lot of food trucks and stuff. This time around, it's mostly nonprofits and people trying to get information and things out there. So we do have, I think, 3 food trucks as well. And the chamber will be running the beer garden. And we can skip back up. Youth soccer, we had another successful season come to a close. We had 2 days that were either weather canceled or delayed. Most of them got canceled due to a snowstorm and a hailstorm. We did run 3 nights of weeknight soccer to try to make up to those games so the kids wouldn't miss out on any games. And we got most of that accomplished, which was quite a feat on a work night, trying to juggle the coaches' schedules, referee schedules, and get them out on the field. So we were happy that we could make that up. And down there a little bit, you can see I kind of have an idea I'd like to maybe try in the fall. I've got some great 3rd and 4th grade coaches that are going to be coaching 5th and 6th grade here soon. So I want to run some ideas by them. The Durango shootout happens, and there's 300 soccer teams from all over the Four Corners, even as far as Texas, participating in that event in Durango. And I'd like to come up with a Bayfield traveling soccer team and take them into Durango, see what they can do. You know, it'd be fun for everyone, so that's something I'm kind of working on, hoping to get going in the fall. Been putting a lot of thought into it, and I've got the Scales and Chris Bernard, who are great coaches, that I'm going to talk to about that. Adult softball has started. We have 16 co-ed teams and 10 men's leagues teams. That's running approximately 6 p.m. to either 10 or 11 o'clock at night, depending on which night it is. Wednesday night's men's league. Monday is busy because it's co-ed. Facility rentals are doing great. I actually had to turn people down because things are already booked. I don't remember having to do that last year, so that's a good problem to have. Word's really getting out. Clear Networks rented it, did their free barbecue back on the 31st. I think they wanted a few more attendants. I kind of saw them closing shop a little bit early over there.
Shouldn't have
But-
done it on a
They
weekday.
ran out of tickets.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that yet. So, yeah, they ran out of tickets. But it's good that our parks and facilities are getting that exposure. I know Carrie does a great job with her senior center, and that's expanding as well. On the clerk side, the PC and the WC, so workman's comp and property casualty renewals are done with CIRSA. We only had one building we needed to add for the PC, and that was the CNL hub. 4th of July planning continues. We had another meeting this morning. The good news is all 3 gold sponsorships are spoken for. We've got bands, tents, carts, fireworks, 5K, horseshoe tournament, and the porta potties have all been lined up. Getting a little curveball with ice, but it's nothing I don't feel we can work through. We've got a couple ideas on the table. Unfortunately, the senior center walk-in freezer went down today. So hopefully that's fixed in time, because that was kind of our contingency plan, to stage some ice in there and run it back and forth with a UTV. To provide beer or ice for the beer garden and the vendors to keep their stuff cold. So, but we'll work through that. I have got 0 reply from Southwest Ice. We've called them 5 times now, and they don't seem to want to get on board. So, but we'll work through that. Entries were coming in slow, but we took probably another 10 entries, either to parade or vendors today. So that's going well. Any questions for me?
Okay, moving on. Parks and Trails.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mr. Mayor. Parks and Trails, we got Gosney Park irrigation system installed. We added 4 zones around the perimeter of the playground there. We actually discovered that there was old irrigation there that was just buried in the ground, and we didn't know that was there. But we got all that in. It is working well. We also planted some grass seed and put some erosion mats, as you all saw as you were there yesterday. And looks like the grass is already coming up really well, so we're excited to see that. And we're also able to stay under our budget of $5,000 to do that project. So that was good. I've got the architectural prints for the Mesa Park shade structure in. I've submitted those to Nicole, and we'll be looking at a building permit, and I've emailed them, and they're supposed to be getting with the next steps on that. But I'm hoping by late summer they can begin construction on that. I'm trying to get a quote. Actually, I've gotten a quote. It was around $2,400 from Basin Co-op to drill seed some polymer grass seed and fertilizer into the south field, mainly the south softball field, to try to help with moisture control. We water and water and water, and that grass is just, the ground is not great. So we did that with a soccer field last year, and it really helped hold the moisture and improve the looks of the grass. So, and we should be able to do that within our supply operational budget. So I'm looking forward to doing that and getting that going before the 4th of July. And everything, all parks and trail operations are going well. Playgrounds are in good condition. We have been busy with rentals and softball, keeping that cleaned up and prepped and restrooms and stuff for softball. There's a lot of people there on Monday and Thursday nights, so that's keeping us busy. We got our Sursa audit back. Not anything too major, but he did recognize the cracks in the skate park, and there are quite a few of them. I believe we can probably fill those, with some crack seal, just to get, the safety matter taken care of with Sursa, but we're probably going to be looking at replacing some concrete in the future there, because it is in pretty bad condition. And to go off of what Dustin said, we do have a repairman, hopefully within the next 2 days, for the senior center to repair that walk-in freezer. So I'll keep him posted on that so we can have ice. We did actually get the door fixed for the east town hall door, so that is operational now and
Really?
working. Yeah, finally.
That's one of my pet peeves.
Right.
I've been here.
Yeah. So yeah, and I've tested it with my card. It works. It's unlocking, for the business hours at town hall. So that's great. Yeah, other than that, just normal stuff for us. We've been staying pretty busy. So, do you have any questions for me?
Do we have a light on the flag out front here?
We do.
Okay, because I came by the other day and I didn't see a light on it, and that.
So if
Okay.
it's off, we just need to ask A to Z to come repair it. I mean,
Okay, I just
Yeah.
don't usually come by it at
well, it's
dark
good that
and-
you notice. Sometimes, especially in the summertime, it's got so much sunlight. Not all of us are out here.
Right,
Yeah.
we're not driving by at
Yeah.
night, but I think it's important to have a light on it.
Oh, I
so.
do too.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. Maybe just a bulb. If not, we can get an electrician to come and take a look at it.
Okay, thanks.
So just to add, we did Mark got a request to repair the drinking fountain. There's a leak at the drinking fountain at the library park. And so we've done some research here in the last, 6 months, I think, looking at that leak. And GOCO finally sent us the contract that we actually signed for the funds to do the library park and all those improvements there. And the drinking fountain was not part of that list. So it looks like that we asked for some shared participation for some playground equipment that we had done last year. And it looks like maybe we should have been looking at that contract. We couldn't find the contract here at Town Hall, so we do now have it from GOCO. So we're going to see if we can't help with the money that did participate with playground equipment last year, see if we can help them out. But if it's more than that, we're going to have to figure out, because it's really not our responsibility for the drinking fountain, or if there's some other options. So certainly pull in a little extra, with Public Works and see if there isn't another alternative. And we're not too sure how that drinking fountain was funded, other than they've had 2 of them, so.
I think it was a donation on the drinking fountain that, when it got replaced, originally, I don't know, because it's a new fountain. The issue that we're having is the main water line underneath the backflow, which is sitting on a slab of concrete. There is a leak underneath there, so possibly demo and taking the backflow, and more likely a plumber or a contractor is going to have to handle that, so.
Hopefully.
Hasn't that been leaking for a while, on and off?
Well, we've had several issues with that. The line coming up to the water fountain has busted twice. The adjustments to the water fountain have gone out, and we've had to order new parts and replace it. It's quite problematic.
Is it freezing or just breaking?
They have PVC coming up from the ground. We blow it out every year with a compressor. So how it is freezing and breaking, I don't know. We even disconnect all the lines because you can access the water fountain underneath. And we take all those apart and blow them out with air. If they would have ran PEX instead of PVC, it would have been great, because PEX freezes, it don't break, but we're getting to the point, if it breaks again, the concrete's got to be demoed and new plumbing. That thing's been a nightmare. It's, we'd love to have the water fountain, but it's been, every year, there's been issues with it.
Any other questions? 2025 Budget Committee Survey.
Yeah, so I did send out the survey. I did receive about 8 responses. Only one was interested, plus Trustee McLaurin. And I certainly appreciate, I will always want an elected official on that, but I will also want to make sure the board's making those selections for committee members. I have, currently I have Trustee McLaurin on zoning, agricultural zoning, and some other things. So I just want to make sure that, that we have, that the board is understanding who's on those committees. The one person that was interested, I emailed, and I have not received a response back. So I'm not really too sure what that is. All I got is the email. I don't have a name or anything else, so I'll just wait for a while. I don't know what your direction is going to be. We're going to talk about at the leadership meeting and talk about budget schedule tomorrow morning. So, that person can be invited to all of those meetings. I can certainly make sure that that person is contacted if they want to be.
What time's your leadership meeting? Because I have not been.
So keep in mind that I can only have 2 elected officials there at a time, and it's only been an invitation to the mayor.
Okay.
If anybody else is interested, I just need to make sure there's only one other trustee there. We start at 8:30 in the morning. If you're interested, you're just going to have a conversation between all of you to see who can come and who shouldn't come. It's not a posted meeting.
Wish we would have gotten a little more interest in the Budget Committee.
Yeah.
8 responses is
Nobody
not too
just
good,
showed
yeah.
that we
And
were-
nobody willing to do it.
And of those, nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, well, budgeting's not the most exciting thing in the world.
No.
It is.
It's important, though.
Moving on to Parks and Rec Committee Survey.
What would you like me to do with this one committee member? And did you want to select who you want on these committees? Is it fine I just include this email? And if this person doesn't want to be emailed, I'm not going to just keep contacting them.
Well, are we gonna have a committee if we don't have any public input?
You just have one interest. And, I would say that people weren't taking a look at the surveys, but I got 25 for the park committee. So,
Yeah, so
Right,
you
yeah,
know it
absolutely.
actually was just
Yeah.
not an interest in that particular subject.
They don't want to play.
Yeah, so again, my question is, do we even do a committee if that's the case? I mean,
well, we would prefer just to have the meetings and have the public is always invited to any of
I
the
think we should go
work
with that.
sessions that we have.
We didn't have interest, why
Right.
try to make a committee out of that?
Right.
More heartache than it's worth.
Yep.
Maybe we could just put it in the newsletter that it's open and available, that we didn't have any interest in anybody coming and no responses back.
And
from the people
anybody's
you
welcome
thought,
to come
and
to,
just- I know, but maybe just put it in the newsletter
Yep.
so that we at least tried to get the word out to people. And you wanted content, so there you go.
There you go.
So Parks and Rec Committee.
so I did get some really good responses from the park committee. And you'll see the survey kind of provides some information as well. There's kind of a summary of the survey. I have 4 respondents that stated they would commit to 10 meetings annually. 4 respondents stated they commit to 4 meetings annually. And then 3 respondents will provide input regarding certain parks and recreation facilities. So I did get 6 responses to date. That they would like to, yes, they're still interested, and yes, keep contacting me, and yes, we'd like to schedule it. I would like to do that on a Monday night. The only other night was a Thursday night, but I have a feeling that the Mill Street Middle probably will take a Thursday night, so I just want to be careful not to double book a lot of those nights, so.
So do we want to set that up for a Monday?
So for a Monday, does the board want to select who's going to be on that? Yeah, as elected official, I'm sure Trustee McLaurin would love to be, but just want to make sure that it's the board direction.
I'm just trying to learn, really. I'm trying to figure things out, that's all. Y'all join in.
I'm good.
So that elected official would bring back whatever we're talking about in that committee.
Yep.
I'm okay with her being on it,
Yeah, if you want.
unless somebody else.
I already have enough going on.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. And we'll try to get a schedule set up.
Do you need anything else on that?
I don't. I do have a citizen that is very interested in being a part of the park committee, and I didn't get his response. So I just want to make sure that we're going to be at the block parties and continue to look for people that are interested, or just to be on an email listserv to get information of what's going on. So.
Moving on to the July 4th fireworks.
Well, I did contact Bruce Evans and Greg French, Upper Pines chief and deputy chief, and I have not received a response yet back regarding the fireworks. So I'm not really too sure. I know that the vendor wanted to know the 1st of June, so.
He contacted me, and yeah, I said we've reached out. We haven't heard anything back. They're just looking at a logistics standpoint. He's fully aware also of Heritage Days, if that's a possibility as a replacement. And I said I'll let him know as soon as I can, but conditions, I told him, have been dry, windy, leading into assumptions.
I'm really surprised he hasn't responded back.
I'm really surprised too. Usually we're not putting it on them, but they are a partner in putting on the fireworks.
Well, we asked for their input on other things as well, so, I mean, it's not unusual for us to do that.
Are they usually this slow to respond?
No, I've never had this lag. I don't know if there's something else going on that I'm not aware of. What I think we'll do is just keep on it, keep trying to reach them and get a response. If the county has a fire ban, then that's it, regardless of what Upper Pine decides to do.
They haven't put that in effect
Not
yet.
yet. I haven't seen La Plata County's fire ban. Other counties are starting to enact their fire bans.
Well, we can't really make that decision until.
I think we need to have a little more input than.
Possible rain Sunday.
That would be nice.
Would be good.
For whatever that's worth.
Let somebody go wash their car or something.
Right. Yeah, make it rain.
I could do that.
Yeah, I should do that.
Moving on to the financial action agenda, May 24 disbursements. Does the board have any questions? Is there any public comment on the disbursements?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve May 2024 disbursements.
Second.
Uh,
We all second.
approve.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Hartz,
Yes.
Trustee Snooks,
Yes.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes, but can I say that accept, not approve?
And the reason it's accept instead of approve is that if we had not paid these bills prior, then it would be approve. In this case, you're accepting the fact that these disbursements have went out. So just that's the difference between those two words.
Sorry for misspeaking.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yay. Coordinating the CML conference travel.
So I have Trustee Katzos is going to drive over there, and she's spending the weekend visiting a friend or acquaintance over the weekend. And then I have, I can certainly drive. Trustee Hartz and Trustee McLaurin. Kind of need to know because we'll be issuing per diem and mileage checks next week.
I've tied things to it on both sides. So
I'm sorry.
I've tied activities to it on both sides, so I'll be traveling early there and
Okay.
coming back late.
I think I am too. I feel badly because it costs us more money, but.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
like
That's good to know. I appreciate that.
I don't go too far to Denver or up that way very often, so I have some other things I wanted to do.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate knowing that.
Board of Trustees, strategic planning proposal.
Yeah, so I did receive 3 inquiries plus the actual proposal for to assist the board in putting together a strategic plan. The other 3 I did not get a proposal from. I did get one, and this is Amber Blake Consulting. She's been doing the leadership development for the leadership team, and I believe she's doing a good job. I don't know how the other leaders feel, but it can be funded 50% by DOLA admin grant, so the timing would be after the contract is signed with DOLA if you approve award this proposal.
I think looking over our lists that you included in our packet, we're kind of knocking those out pretty quickly, seems like, on our own. For one comment, I'm a little disappointed that DOLA hasn't offered us more resources because when Mr. Rondinelli was here, he sounded like he had a lot, like that was his forte, was to help us with the strategic planning and to coordinate our efforts as a board. And I'd really like to know if there's anything else we can do, if he has any resources for us to use to do this strategic planning on our own and take what we have given as all of our priorities, all of what we want to see done, and see what we can do on our own with that. I mean, you've done a great job of just taking what we've written down briefly and turned it into action already. So I'm not sure we need a full-blown $25,000 consultant to guide us through. That's where I'm at.
I have a tendency to resist consultants in general, I think, probably, but I do think also we have, and I'm new, so I have to say this, I don't know everything you need to know, but I think that we probably could do some more work with just even their suggestions and from DOLA to do it on our own, or do it more on our own. It's just my feeling about it. It seems like a lot of money.
I'm kind of looking at it too. There's a lot of things that we're already getting, to Katie's credit, that we're already getting done on our list.
So I understand that I'm doing a lot, but I'm also going a lot of different directions. And just like the comp plan tells Nicole kind of where we're going to go and what we're going to tell developers. And I don't mind going a lot of different directions, but I also need to know what goal we're trying to hit. And I think that's a little bit what I'm struggling. We have a lot of projects on our plate already. Just trying to figure out, that would mean some commitment by, the board to attend and kind of nail down exactly where you want to go and what you want to hit.
I think
So I would like to just kind of chime in a little bit here, because I work in the banking industry, and we're heavily regulated, and a lot of the things, like our regulations are really different, but you guys are also heavily regulated. And I think that when you have an organization come in that does your strategic planning, it helps you to maneuver through it, and gives you kind of like that backbone that helps you make sure that you're not just making goals, but you're staying within, the right kind of regulations for the things that you do. And I'm a proponent for something like this. I know it costs a lot of money, but I would like to know if there's anything in the budget for it, of course, because I'm going to ask that question. But it says 25, but again, she said we could get half of that from DOLA, so
Right.
it's really 12.5.
What is
oh, go ahead, Laura.
Well, I've seen this done other places, but not here. So what is sort of the process for the consultant? Do they call the community members in to start developing some of these things, or is it all with just elected officials and the people that are here?
So the elected officials, you're the ones that set the direction. So yes, the community is going to participate. They'll be along for the ride. So will the leadership team.
Okay.
To kind of get a good understanding. I think what we did, we went through all of the your 7 sheets of all the goals that you want to do. Mm-hmm. The one thing about it that, Trustee McLaurin, it's easy to do maybe one of those, but I can't, I've told this to another elected officials years ago, I can't go 7 different directions every day. I have to kind of know where you want to go as a 7-member board and not 7 individual positions. So even though we have those, I think we removed a couple pieces from the documents that you gave us, but it's also good for somebody else to challenge you, to say, yeah, hey, this is what your public works director is saying they can or can't do. This is what your culture and rec and town clerks say that we can or can't do, and it kind of directs us into one direction versus handling everything all at the same time. I'm always this last month just putting together the Mill Street Middle, putting together the ice cream thing, all these things going different directions. I'm like, I still don't know what you want to hit at the end. And yeah, I realize sometimes your 4-year term can be really short, but gosh, we should get at the end of 2024 and say, gosh, we've hit 1, 2, 3, or we've hit half of number 4.
So I'm not saying not to do the strategic plan. I'm just saying I don't think we need to jump into $25,000 right off the bat when I'm looking at DOLA, and one of their missions is strategic and legislative planning. I'd like to really investigate what we can get from DOLA first, not just a grant. If he can come down here, and the other thing is when we had our mayor, I want to call it more an orientation than our retreat, because really we gave what was on our mind, our lists, but we really didn't talk about that, and we really didn't have any discussion about a strategy. We really just had more of an orientation, mostly from the staff, and there wasn't really a lot of time for us to discuss that. And I would really like to first explore what DOLA can offer us in strategic and legislative planning, and he offered to come down here and lead that for us and do maybe another mayor summit or whatever we called that retreat, where we could just focus on just that with just what he has to offer us, and then decide if we need more or not. Probably do. more than likely, but I'd rather start with that.
I was thinking, we're talking about with the retreat, and I was saying, and I have participated in strategic planning and stuff like that before, but usually what I have seen is a retreat, which is probably 2 or 3 days, when you have to change over. I mean, we changed over the governance of our boards and stuff like that, where people really have some time to. I mean, to me, when I saw 2-hour retreat, that's not a retreat. I mean, that doesn't give enough time to really develop very much, and especially since we didn't even know each other yet. I mean, it was kind of an introductory thing. But, I mean, does the board ever do anything like that, like a longer term? Or, I mean, I know it's hard. It's a commitment, and probably people don't want to do that. But I'm just asking.
So all the retreats I've attended and all the retreats I've participated in are a consultant-led retreat. And yes, it is a full day. I'm certainly equipped to do a retreat. However, also I'm just trying to figure out, what you want that to be.
Well, would it be led by you rather than the mayor?
So I want you to lead me. How's that?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. But wouldn't it make more sense if it was, the board and whoever else they wanted to do got together and decided some directions and then came to you with them, with what we're trying to do?
Well, it'd all be a public meeting. Be a public meeting of 7. So.
Okay, so you can't have a meeting of the board without it being public.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, well, I'm
So,
learning.
yeah, even
Yeah.
our retreats are, the
Public.
public is allowed to.
Okay,
I have a question.
it's a different system than I'm used to.
Is the
Yeah.
DOLA
I'm
grant
not used to go.
guaranteed? Or,
He-
can we get shut down and not get it, so then we're stuck with the whole
No,
bill?
so when I talked to Patrick about it, he says, get a proposal first, he says, and then just have the mayor sign a letter saying you're looking for a grant of, $12,500 in this case. He said, you have to have something to start with. Don't just come ask for money. So, and he said, yeah, it's pretty much a given.
Okay.
And this, we create a strategic plan. In 2 years, 3 of us go off the board. We get a new board. That new board can just wipe out that strategic.
It's the same
plan.
thing you do with the comp plan. So the comp plan was done in 2018 and it was updated in 2023. It was updated basically with the community, the planning commission, and the board of trustees. They don't wipe it out. It's a little harder if the staff is headed in a direction that you set in 2024 and it's successors, it's a little harder to change.
Okay.
You're going to get tweaks even as leaders. We realize that we're going a direction that doesn't work very well. We're going to change direction a little bit. And that's when you look at the strategic plan and say, you know what, this goal is not effective enough to aid in the community.
But it doesn't, the whole thing, it's a combined effort.
It's just like the comp plan. It's the
Okay.
same process, could be as long, because I've seen some of that happen. That's the first thing I looked for when I got here, and then I had a pandemic and nobody knew. We were all figuring out how to manage that. So I wasn't the newbie anymore. I was like with everybody else. But now we're headed, there's a lot of development going on in town. There's a lot of projects going on in town. We're struggling to keep staff. Saying, well, we want to make sure we're getting water delivered to every resident. Well, that also takes a vision. What does that mean? We got to make sure you've got staff that is trained and certified and can operate our plants. And that may mean raising rates to cover those things. And that's when you say we want to have clean water provided to every residence in the town of Bayfield, then what you do is you back off and say, what does that mean for every little piece and structure that's underneath that?
Okay. So I was not aware it's not like an ordinance that can just be wiped out.
Nope.
Is there any public comment on that strategic plan.
Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive. I would highly encourage the board to embrace a strategic plan. Without it, you guys are kind of fumbling around and you've got different personalities here. Really what that will mean is there will be a facilitator that'll come in and keep you on track. So when you set your goals, long-term and short-term, someone's going to keep you on track, whether it's this board or the next board. That can be changed and modified down the road, but you have a guide. You have some sort of roadmap of what is important to this board now and for the town into the future. So I encourage you to spend a little bit of money because they will be a neutral party. You are not neutral parties. You need a neutral party that will facilitate the meetings and keep you on track. They don't care. They're paid to do it. It's their job, but they'll be a lot more efficient than you will. And then you can lead Katie and the town and our citizens into things that are good for the town. So I encourage you to do the strategic planning. It's critical. We're at a crossroads and we need that. Thank you.
I don't think there's any doubt about that we need the strategic plan. That's not even the question, that we need the strategic plan developed.
No, but I think his point was that
That you
it's
need
a
to hire
third,
somebody.
it's a third neutral party. We do have a bunch of people with a lot of different ideas.
Oh, yeah, no, I
and
absolutely
personalities.
agree.
Does anybody have any objection to starting with DOLA?
Well,
And we only have
just-
one response. We don't have, we have one response. We don't have anything to.
So the one that submitted for leadership development, that's one of the inquiries I got. Their submittal for leadership was $130,000. So I'm not really too sure. We can go back out for a request for proposal. When I talked to Patrick about it, I've known Patrick for a lot of years, and I asked him about, because you had brought that up, and he said no. He said we have those admin grants, and here's some consultants that he had used in his area before. So I didn't go to him specifically and say, will you set the schedule for a strategic plan?
I'd just like to know what resources they have for us.
So I felt more like DOLA was offering us assistance in understanding certain things. But what I think the difference is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that DOLA would be more like telling you what a strategic plan is, whereas an organization like this is actually going to help facilitate making the strategic plan. Like, they will provide us with, pages of how it works, what everything takes to do it. It's not just we came up with a goal and we said, okay, here's the goal, go for it. There's a lot more information that will be provided because we pay good money for them to do a lot of the background, the research, the things that we would need to know to make a better decision. So I get the whole DOLA thing, and if they provided something like that, I would say, yeah, let's do that. But I have a feeling that that's not really what DOLA does.
They actually had in his slides had basically how a capital improvement plan works with a strategic plan, with a comp
Right.
plan.
It's a
So
training.
He's going to give you that background and what that looks like. And I don't mind asking him, if he's interested in actually working with the board and doing a strategic plan. I'm open to that.
And I'm okay asking him too, but like I said, I don't think that's really what they do.
Is there any other public comment? I thought there was.
Hi, Mary Benson, 723 Lupine. You all know that I'm a proponent of the strategic planning. In my experience, what I've seen is that they bring you to a much higher level. When I have seen the list of your guys' priorities, I think that you're thinking along the lines of what you've talked about and what you know about. This company, which doesn't really have any, they're just going to facilitate discussion, and they're going to help you all, come up with, usually it's a mission, vision, value proposition. Usually it's a short-term, could be 3-year, 5-year goal, plan with goals. And then it really is what Mr. Blanchard said. It's this roadmap where if you guys start getting all of these influx of requests or different things that come up, you can look at your strategic plan and you can say, where does this fall? Is this in line with what our goals are? What do we want to accomplish as this, council of people leading? And then it does help so much for your leadership team to follow you then, because everything's going to, come under that strategic plan. So I know, go ahead.
Well, so what I'm thinking is, when I've seen it done before, you start with a mission and a vision. Do we have that already by any chance, or does that need to be?
It's our mission.
Well, I know it's our mission,
and
but
our
what
vision.
Exactly is it? Okay, yeah, but
So-
you need to put it.
But that's what they help you figure out.
You're right. They're going to help you write that. And then the value proposition, and it's kind of forward-looking. So what do you want to be in
Oh, I
1
know-
year,
I know.
3 year, 5 years? So, I mean,
I know what
it's
it
super,
is.
it's super helpful. And yeah, I think that you're gonna get a lot of value out of it. And I think that the cost proposal was definitely reasonable from what I've seen. And if you like this person because she's helped you already, then she kind of, maybe can guide you. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
How long is this proposal good for, like that she gave you?
It's, I'm just guessing it's good for in 2024.
Okay, because I was just curious.
There's no
like, if we-
expiration that I see in it.
I was just asking that because if we table it so we can talk to DOLA, is it still gonna be good when we come back to our next meeting where we can?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should talk to DOLA and then come back with it at the next meeting and table it like Chase was saying. What do you guys think? Or do we need to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table the award to Amber Blake Consulting, the strategic planning proposal of $24,786, and until we have had discussion with DOLA about what they can offer us.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee Snooks?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yay. Moving on to the action agenda, Resolution 617 to rescind Resolution 600.
Yeah, so we discussed this at our last meeting regarding community banks of Colorado, and I don't want to throw them under the bus, but it's been very difficult to work with. We finally just decided, based on the fact of the deposit they were looking for and our lack of having assurance about payroll, and then having money in 2 different banks and not knowing which direction they were going to go, we decided you directed me to redo this resolution, and so this rescinds Resolution 600, and 600 was the one that gave me the authority to continue on with changing our banking services to Community Banks of Colorado. That rescinds that back to stay at TBK Bank, and then authorizes me to enter into an Intrify, and Intrify is kind of a a interest-bearing account for our money that's in our checking account.
Can I add something too, just from my own banking knowledge? Because my bank does Intrify as well, and I have no skin in the game on this. These are not my banks. Intrify, the purpose most people use Intrify for is so that if they have over the $250,000 FDIC limit per individual, they can go to Intrify and it kind of like disperses the monies to other banks. But Public funds don't need that because they are secured by the bank's collateral. So banks have to take the money that's deposited. So if the town deposited $1 million into one bank, the bank has to take $1 million out of their working supply and set it aside as collateral for the public funds to be covered if anything happens. So they're still covered, it's just covered differently. I don't see a problem with going back to TBK. I didn't really think you needed to leave them to begin with, so that's.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 617.
Second. I was gonna make it.
You were close.
I got a, well, I guess I should go to public comment first. Is there any public comment on Resolution 617? Seeing none, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee Snooks?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yay. Resolution 618 for the bank signers.
618 is just authorized signers. This is something that was in a previous resolution as well. Just kind of to make sure it's very clear, we only have two financial institutions. That would be TBK Bank and Colorado Trust. That way, it just eliminates Community Banks of Colorado from the resolution. So,
Make a motion to approve resolution 618.
Second.
Is there any public comment on Resolution 618? Seeing none. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee Snooks?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yay. Does the board have any trustee reports from May? I went to the last leadership meeting. We pretty much discussed what was on our agenda and went over that, but thinking that was about it. Does anybody have anything else? I don't know who went to what meetings.
We just had the tree board before this meeting. We talked about the value of the staff participation, the citizens' participation, adjusting the meeting schedule to still accommodate tree city requirements, even though we're not a tree city and haven't heard from them, but to maintain that. And adjusted the meeting dates to coordinate with the block parties and Arbor Day. We also talked about possibly extending the tree board, not responsibilities, but interests to the waterwise, the kind of plants and vegetations that might be used in future developments. So to expand it more, to make it more of a green rather than just tree board. It was a great meeting. Thank you.
Any other reports?
Mine's coming up, 6:13.
See you next meeting.
Yep.
Mine's coming up on
Thursday.
6th. Yep.
Thursday morning. What do we need to do to prepare for that? It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Dress.
Don't eat breakfast.
But who sets it up? You?
yes. Staff will be setting it up, and we're going to talk about the previous plans that were done in 2015 and what the community is looking for, getting contact information about what address we should be concerned about. There will be a lot of email communication for this meeting, basically because when you have a downtown Main Street or Mill Street project, you're not going to get all the business owners to be able to, do the meeting on the right date.
Right.
And I think we're going to have a little breakfast, kind of get them hopefully out of their offices. I did walk around with flyers this afternoon, and they all say, "Oh yeah, we're going to be there." And talk about who basically contact information for when we do start construction. So you all actually have a concept design already. is that the effort we want to put into a concept design, or do we want to start out with surveying and really understanding where these property lines are on Mill Street? So,
Where do I have that plan? The one that you already worked on in 2015?
it's upstairs. I'm just going to bring a whole bunch of paper copies.
Okay, because I haven't seen that either, so I have to.
Well,
Get up to speed.
There was a lot of searching. And they did do a downtown Colorado assessment in 2015 as well. So there's all these goals that they were going to approach. And of course, not many of them got done. So, you'll have some context of where do we want to start over, or do we just want to start from where we ended before?
Right. I just have to do my own research. That's good.
I can go over May's RHA a little bit.
Okay.
They opened up round 3 of the Catalyst funds. Those are some funds that they award to businesses. We had our CIRSA audit and passed that with no problems. We went over the regional housing, the first annual regional housing summit that went on. It was a really good, big success. We felt like we got the word out about the housing issues in the area. We had some great speakers, Nicole being one of them, and thought it was just very successful. We'll be meeting again tomorrow, so that's pretty much. There's a little bit more that happened, but I can't remember. It was a month ago.
Anything else?
I just wanted, are we on to the upcoming dates of interest?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. June 3rd, our 6:30 ice cream Parkside chat. 6:30 to 7 was extended. So I just want to confirm for the next 2 that the ice cream truck is expecting to be there from 6:30 to 7. The only reason we would extend the time is if we're involved with discussion with citizens, and the ice cream is not extended until 7:30 or.
Well, I've told her that she just needed to be there for ice cream to 6:30 or 7. Do you want it extended?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, I just want to confirm that it's 6:30 to 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, it's certainly up, as people get accustomed to this, you may find more, and maybe they get satisfied with what's going on. It's hard to tell. And when winter comes, you may think about having an office hours or a Saturday coffee chat or something.
Well, I've talked to the ladies at the gas station one time, and they told me that they do sell more ice cream in the winter than the summer, so perhaps we'll do better then.
No.
I'd like to adjourn this meeting on that at 8:19.
I won't be at the next ice cream thing. I'm at work by 6. You won? 7 a.m.
No, that's the Mill Street. That's the Mill Street.
Well, this is.
I forgot my
7
notes, so I
p.m.
didn't get to.
Well, and that, the 7 p.m. ice cream is also for
Anything
Mill Street, so if some of the,
Sound like it.
like businesses and people that are on Mill Street can't make the 7
Like
a.m.
where
one
it's
because of work, then they can make that 7 p.m. one.
Yeah, that's fine.
So is that on? Is
Trying to
that
figure out if
on?
there's more
I'm
deductions.
pretty sure it's.
Oh, it's deductions?
I know you were like.
Okay, so we previously had the third pay period ending, which would have been May 31st. That there is no insurance taken out, and we decided to only make it in December.
I'm sure that's like a salsa.
I could be. I'm looking at, and I was looking at some of
That-
comparing them, and I'm like,
Do you think they have less deductions?
yeah. So the salary's a little higher.
Good. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I've done it. It's like, because I went through Because she was gonna change that, we did that.
Good, are you Cash?
Program that I went to. And they trained us to facilitate, we have to go to these meetings, facilitate stuff.
Oh, boy.
He turned around and left. Wanted to be a tough guy.
We'd have retreats.
My mom lives out by Elmore's and I shut on my kids.
But it was hard, it was like a,
They
a lot of